Sanibonani sinamukele kwi-Daily Thetha on SABC 1 kumsombuluko namhlanje bathi abanye umvulo mawubheka lo Eastern Cape nokocofa imbaba bakutshela kanjalo bathi umvulo but it's Monday somluko angazi abanye bayibiza ngani namhlanje sikhuluma about istory esikhulu sikhuluma about fake news nanokuthi ubona kanjani ukuthi these are fake news so abonile ama sites ahlukahlukene especially online kubhalwe izitori ezahlukahlukene later on when you find out ukuthi it's just a fake news but kwesinye isikhathi kuba istory and abantu basidismiss ukuthi this is a fake news sifuna ukwazi ukuthi how do you sport with this is a fake news nanokuthi what can you do ukuthi prevent ekuthenini siconsume yonke lento ebhaliwe and see believe kwesinye isikhathi and end up spreading it as well sharing it and making sure ukuthi abantu bafunda about these stories only to find later on ukuthi washare a fake news.
Okay nithi Kini kalibiso ke na Tumelo sihlokolo sa Mothotoane. Thank you so much for joining us South Africa. We're talking about an issue on social media. It is fake news and the intention usually behind fake news is misleading, the stories are exaggerated, they're patently false. But I feel like we're also questioning when we have scandals like the Gupta email scandal and some people come out saying no, actually this story is fake and evidence it is true. What should be done? What should be the repercussions in that situation? But I feel like if you want to share in your comments, call us on 011 339 1315 or send all your voice notes on 060 679 6835.
And then just sibhekisisa namhlanje kohlelo lakhona sobe sibuka nanokuthi ubona kanjani nanokuthi uhlukanisa kanjani phakathi kwe-propaganda and just fake news because kwesinye isikhathi abanye bathi into ethi ayicishe ifane and nanokuthi ekugcineni konke like kuyakhumbula khona isitori sikaMbholo nje sanda kuphuma kuthiwa uMbholo uye esihogweni wavuka wabamba usathane Sathane wadlula emhlabeni.
Ubona ukuthi Kini is it false? Is it true?
Look, this is fake news.
How do you know?
Hayi man uya kanjani esihogweni yabona. And I think ukuthi phela masungunjalo kumele ngasona. And ngifuna ukwazi as well ukuthi if umuntu ke what should happen to abantu abaspread that these fake news and stories like that should mele bebosho something should be done to them.
That's the question.
That's the question engifuna ukubuza siswami sabona ubani igama and umbuzo wami engifuna ukubuza kuwena ukuthi kumele kwenzakalani kulabantu abaspread that these fake news.
Ngiyabonga bhuti igama lami ngulihle. My comment about that is ukuthi I think it's much better if umuntu uyabosha about that because honestly you cannot go around spreading news about someone without even going around finding your facts straight. Okokuqala okwesibili ukuthi the minute you start doing that, don't you think it affects the person himself or herself, the family, the community around that person, because they're going to start looking at that person differently to whatever accusation that you decided to write. So I think suing is much better, or if possible, let there be a law that says you can be charged for that.
How about those people about share something on Facebook or retweet on Twitter? Namele ngibosho for doing that?
Exactly. The point is, the social media is not for wrong reasons. Let's understand that. The social media platform is for us to be able to spread these right that are building up the nation, that are making people aware. Now, if you start making use of it in a wrong way, what are you actually implying, Uguti? I mean, kids are, these days, they're already exposed to a lot of social media. They've got cell phones. They can Google around. They can find stuff that you have posted already. Now, imagine if you post about my mother and I'm a 10-year-old and I go to school. How is it going to be like with the interaction of abantwana esikoleni, the teacher and everything and the teasing and stuff like that?
There's even a policy about that on social media. If you, retweet or you also circulate something it defames somebody else's character, there actually are criminal consequences for that. But I don't know, Kimang, I swear a microphone this side. My sister, and tell us about your opinion with regards to the responsibility as the consumers have to do our research before taking everything at face value.
Okay, I think we are gullible. We live in a social media space where it's so easy for us to believe everything without even checking things. And that is what we do each and every day. And I'm sure more than 80% that is here has been a victim. And what I mean by when you're a victim, when you see news, you are a victim. But the minute you share it, you are participating in everything else because you do not do your research.
What about Libatwalengo? They only read headlines and then they don't actually click and read the full story and they take the headline as facts.
That's how
because I think the journalists, when they're trying to be creative, they're trying to, it's clickbait most of the times, or one a story. Kanti, when you read, you're like, Mara, the headline said, and the story is
all the time. All the time.
I have been a victim of that. I read something, I was like, and then I told a friend, it's like, do you know this and this and this happened? And the friend of mine said, are you sure?
Yeah.
And we kept on debating about that. Yeah. And we found out that it was not true. And after finding out that it's not true, you pretty much don't even care if it's true or not. So I think it's just because we are not interested in things. We are just not proactive in knowing the truth, proactive in knowing what's happening around us. So we just click and that's it. We just want to know.
Yeah, and also let's come to equality of journalism again, because I've seen some journalists as well now. They only see a story on Facebook. Tumi just posted with a kid. Oh, Tumi ganaki 7 years, like that was umshanake. And the story is already out there in the paper. What do you think is standard? Some journalists now quality.
Okay, Kamala Musandile, Msanda Vundla. Mina ngama journalist ngithi ama journalist sometimes like awekho wrong wona ngisho because abazibhaleli into abazibhalayo yabo kune somewhere abathatha khona information le so sometimes
the source can be faced
sometimes look like bathi Sandile raped a child yabo bende futhi babhala ngamagama amakhulu ama capital letters yabo so ukuthi like mina sho ukuthi akusimi engirepe lo mntwana lwana ngisho sebathole bazobhala ngamagama amancane lapha ukuthi he didn't rape in child ngisho so like that thing abantu abayenzile ukuthi akaze ngarape so kungehlisa isithunzi emphakathini.
Mara sometimes the journalists ribona ba printer ditori in our newspapers saying no, we couldn't find Osandile for a comment, we couldn't find Tumelo for a comment, but they still publish the story. Why is it that the story is published if na hakiro, the newsmaker, to confirm the story if it's true or false? My brother,
okay, on that, adding on that, remember if ever only something, maybe only story that you have to tell, and then by that time you are not available, and then there's Usisi la, now like she knows about the story, right? So if ever a journalist comes to me, then Anyuko available, obviously zofuna another source azomtshela the story, and sometimes only to find out ukuthi le story leso azosithola kusisi so wrong, and mina I had the story is right uzobhala ngalesi. That's how they function. Yeah, because now, like to me, we told the whole story, good number sources, and the person aganikezwa ngethuba ukuthi asho ukuthi ithini comment yakhe, but ekugcineni konke uzothola the whole story based on a source. Can you imagine? And let's find out what's happening on Facebook and Twitter as well. I see something coming in from Avile Shakuva. Daily Thetha, the difference between the fake news and real news is that the fake news are methodically amplified to push propaganda. Oh, this. Shandu kubanzima. Siyabuya again talking about fake news. How can you spot with this one is a fake news, or this one is a real story, or this one is a propaganda like Ashon Jangamanje Asivile. So we want to find out more. Breaking.
Fake news like into efikayo mayifike ebantwini anyeke izihlale kahle and kwezinye indawo iaffect ama society wethu ngendlela esibhedayo because thina sithatha lokho esikubonayo sukuyenze ngoma sibona ukuthi lo muntu uyenze into embi kube kwesinye isikhathi angayenzanga leyo nto embi.
Fake news izindaba ezingekho really about some other people's abazikhulumayo especially into internet eziwisa isithunzi sabantu.
Ke ditaba tse sa leng right ka batho. Like itaba tse buang ke batho ba bang, like it's affecting batho ba bang ka tsela e wrong.
Welcome back to Daily Thetha. Namhlanje we're talking about fake news and ukuthi ubona kanjani ukuthi these are fake news. Abanye abantu bakhala ukuthi kwesinye isikhathi it's just business. Abantu basuke bezama indlela ukuthi basend message ethize without getting the fact right and everything like that. So give us a call as well at 011-339-1315 or find us on Facebook and Twitter as well at daily_Thetha. Sizochumbona ukuthina about the fake news.
Yeah, King fake news and who's responsible for it, and of course just to shed some light on this issue. We're joined by SABC SABC TV reporter and investigative journalist, Crisalda Lewis, as well as Mike Reddy, who's an investigative journalist with Amapungane. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for your time.
Thank you for
Welcome.
having us. Thank you.
Let's start with the definition so people understand, and we simplify it for them. Kini the difference, Crisalda, between fake news and real news, credible news?
Look, it's very difficult to disseminate at this point, but if you look at stuff that you find on social media, I think for us, I can speak on behalf of journalists, is the verification process now more than ever in South Africa. Should we verify everything that we see on social media? There have been quite a number of examples where there have been issues of fake news that have been posted. And the danger with that is that with just one click, one retweet, that is now disseminated to millions of other people. Let's say, for example, if Tumelo has 1 million followers, that's really where the danger is. So verification, don't be so gullible. Don't just accept something as it comes because it's coming from somebody with as many followers as 1 million. You've got to verify everything. It's equally dangerous for us as journalists now. Look, I'm not going to break every single story, but if one of my colleagues breaks a story, whether I trust him and he works for Amapungane, I take that and verify if what he is saying is true. Right? You spoke about the issue of the Gupta emails. You know, there's some saying that it's a fake news, but we have not seen that kind of denying from the ANC, for example, Alliance Partners, for example. But the issue is if a colleague of mine tweets something, or if I see something on social media about Tumelo or about Kini, I have to make sure that the verification process that I go through is extremely scrutinized. Editorial policy is where this comes in very importantly.
Let me come to you, Mike. What's the difference between the fake news and the propaganda?
Well, very often fake news is used for propagandistic purposes. So we see this very clearly with the a host of websites that have been set up by the Zuma Gupta faction that are clearly pushing a particular political agenda. It's very overt, it's very clear. I mean, even though we don't necessarily know who is behind a particular website or a particular network of Twitter bots, we can see the message. The message is transparent, and it's perfectly obvious that this is a ploy to push a particular factional message. But that's not always the case with fake news. So a lot of the time, fake news is used to sell, for instance, to attract audiences, for clickbait, to sell advertising and that sort of thing. And of course, if you have absurd sensationalist headlines, it's tempting if you're scrolling through your Facebook feed to click on a headline that says, you know, I don't know, there was a case in Zimbabwe recently that has just come to mind about a baboon raping a gang of men or something like that. I mean, these completely, you know, Tokolosh abducted my father kind of thing. And it's you know, this sort of thing predates social media, right? I mean,
but even on print media as well, we see such headlines.
Absolutely, and a lot of media institutions will sort of use a combination of not necessarily fake news, but sort of shoddy, smutty, kind of sensationalist news combined with more proper news as a way of marketing. So, I mean, the Sun's model, for instance, the Sun is the biggest selling daily in the country, and it's been very successful for them. But I think an important thing to distinguish, an important marker to distinguish proper journalism from the sort of fake news that has become so commonplace now, is that, you know, journalism as an institution entails a certain rigorousness, right? It's about the profession of journalism. It's about verifying facts. It's about being held accountable. So we have a press council, for instance, that punishes journalists who don't do their job properly. Which is not to say that journalists don't make big mistakes.
They do.
Very
but
often.
They have to be held accountable for it.
Absolutely.
Look at Andile.
Yeah, I was about to actually go to him. Can you please pass on the mic? We just want to get Andile's comment. Your definition of fake news.
No, let's start with Amapungane, represented by the gentleman, is the biggest producer of fake news in South Africa.
Wow.
And you see, part of the big agenda in this country is that the white-owned media, and they are funded by horrible people, actually, including regime change agents, Oppenheimer family. So in South Africa today, let's forget about Tokoloshi stories and so on. Let's deal with the real big issue. The real big issue is we black people, 23 years later, we don't own the country, we don't have the land, we don't have the wealth, we don't have the mines, we don't have the banks. White people have them. And white people also own the media. So you must make a decision. when you read, you must ask yourself, who owns this media? Amabungani is owned by whites and is funded by white monopoly capital. Its job is to tarnish the names and the reputations of those of us who want radical economic transformation, such as President Zuma. President Zuma, you can say whatever you want to say about him. Today, President Zuma says, black people must get land without paying. That's something we must support. He says he wants a mining charter. They don't want the mining charter. He said the economic radical transformation. They don't want that. So what they do, they create fake news, including these fake emails, and linking that to President Zuma and say, oh, President Zuma is a bad guy. Myself, they write that I am part of these fake emails, and I'm not.
How do you know that the emails are actually fake?
But because they say, I have said some things which in those emails which I haven't said. But they themselves, they do not, have you seen those emails? They don't take them out and say where they got the emails from. This is all fake news. Yesterday, Daily Maverick, which they use Amabungani, wrote a lie story about us, saying that we threatened Dr. Koza. They did not care. He talks about professionalism, verification of facts. They don't do that.
All right, we're going to come back to you.
So let us be clear. There are two agendas. There is a white agenda pushed by white media.
All right.
By the way, the South African media is still all white-owned.
We're going to come back to you, Andile. We're going to come back to you.
We'll give you a chance.
Chriselle, yes.
But Andile, you can't say that these are fake emails. You've had a situation where there have been people in the higher echelons of government who've also said that there seems to be credibility when it comes to these emails. Perhaps you're so against them because you are alleged to be implicated in the scandal. We can understand your stance when it comes to that. But to brush it all off and say that the media should not report on corruption, should not report on what clearly seems to be, I mean, right now, we're waiting for a judicial commission of inquiry into state capture. It's an issue that has been put very high on the agenda. Clearly, there is an issue that needs to be probed. Something has gone very wrong. You can't just discard all of that to say this is fake news. Journalists in this country are allowed to do their jobs. Mr. Mutama himself doesn't seem to agree with that by marching to journalists' homes and threatening them in a constitutional democracy. So I might agree with you on issues of land, Mr. Mutama. But on issues of, as a journalist in my profession, in 2017, marching on the homes of whether it's a black or a white journalist is not going to fly in South Africa today.
And Micah, just for you to get in there with your comment, is it popular for politicians to always, say that news are fake or controversial news are fake, or there is some sort of a biased propaganda against them? Is that what you deal with?
It's a very convenient excuse. It's a very convenient way of sort of deflecting attention and criticism and scandal and allegations. It's to say, well, oh, it's fake news. Oh, well, these guys are run by whites, therefore there must be, they must be agents of regime change, etc. I mean, Andile just highlighted the very essence of what fake news is, which is you parrot these, you parrot slogans without feeling you have to provide any real evidence, right? Andile never brings evidence to the table. He parrots these insidious, really divisive, frankly very often racist slogans that in this day and age they catch on quite easily, because we know that's the nature of fake news. It's easy to spread misinformation and fake news because of these things will be shared widely on social media because it appeals to certain sections. And if I may add one more thing.
Briefly, please, we have to go to an ad break.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's go to an ad break right now, just so we're safe. But let's go to an ad break right now. When we come back, Andile Mqethama, of course, the leader of the Black First Land First, joins the couch and he answers all these questions. We'll be right back.
Tumelo baboshwa ngoba baqamba amanga ngabantu. Umuntu angathi umuntu ufile angafanga akhona.
Yes, I think people should be charged for sharing fake news because in most cases, indaba ezincane ekhulunywa umuntu oyi-1, I think it end up trending, and as sonke singabantu asifani, abanye abantu izinto bathatha personal.
Abantu abaspreada indaba zabantu ngamanga kumele baboshwe ngoba basuke bacekela omunye umuntu phansi futhi baruna ireputation yakhe, and ugcina sobukeka njengomuntu omubi emphakathini ngenxa yezinto zamanga abantu abayishoyo ngawo.
Le celebrity Daily Thetha and Lekwelo gore ba so ba reng constructing but ba ba leng gore ba spread all these fake news online and in print media or televisioning. Doesn't matter where it is, it could be even on radio. So ne gore ba tshwarwe ka re ka nnete they are misleading the nation. But fela ge re nyokoka from lena gore what do you think about this topic? Re phonele on 011 339 1315.
I'm sure before press that share party namhlanje uzobuswazi uthi hey akumele ngibe sure ukuthi the story sikhona or asikho emthethweni. Yes, the president of BLF Andile Mqithama sehlele kwi couch uzoziphendela manje. I was promised one thing ukuthi ngizonyukela umoya ne. I'm not sure. Andile, because now we're going to elections for our parties. Do you think is this the right time where esbona more fake news stories ziqala surface?
I think it's not so much that. I think the fight about the economy is become open.
Yeah.
And as a result, labo baphethe umnotho wethu. Bayenza show ukuthi ngubavela baphethe if also the media. Bayenza show ukuthi the news that come out around the economic liberation is slanted. Bayazikhusela. They're protecting those who hold the economy, and they produce fake news. They produce propaganda. You know, like for instance, Daily Maverick, who he works for, they write about me a lot of times. Not once have they allowed me to write back. I have written to them and say, give me the right to reply. Because what you're writing about me is wrong. Not once, Daily Maverick. Because the Daily Maverick and also all the news media houses about NASPERS. People don't know, for instance, Iswetan is owned by Media 24, which is white owned. Abantu bamnyama abazi ukuthi City Press ipuma ku NASPERS ifuthi iphethe abamhlophe futhi iNASPERS that media house come from apartheid. So abantu bamnyama bafunda nje amaphepha acanga ukuthi iqiniso. Kanti kukhona iagenda yabamhlophe ehamba ngamaphepha. Mele siqaphele kakhulu uma sifunda ukuthi kuthwani. Thina isBLF for instance besine publication yethu online called Black Opinion. White monopoly capital have shut it down. It's not there. My Twitter account has been suspended. My Facebook has been suspended. Abamhlophe abafuni, see, abamhlophe abafuni an alternative view. They just want to give you a propaganda that says there's corruption and corruption. Amabungani do not investigate white corruption. I can tell you now, for instance, just 3 weeks ago, they don't write about DSTV. DSTV has actually went to the Competition Commission, accept that it stole from us more than 100 million rand. They say nothing about it. 4.3 billion rand stolen in treasury. They don't write about that. I can go on and on like this.
Let's give Mike.
What about Net one of the biggest stories of the year? I suppose you'd defend them because your pals in government benefited.
Well, this is the
thing. But this is a company that fleeced the most vulnerable South Africans. No. And you'll benefit them because you are a paid Gupta troll.
Okay,
this is absolutely transparent.
He said paid. He said paid. No, he said paid.
Yeah.
Now let us wait here, stop. What is the evidence that have been paid by the Guptas?
I'll show you the email you going cap in hand to Nazim
What does the email say?
It shows you going cap in hand to
Did the
Nazim
Guptas give me money? No, wait.
Right at that time, you flip-flop and become
This man has just said on television, I'm paid by the Guptas.
Yeah.
This man has no single piece of evidence that I've been paid by the Guptas. And he works for Amabungani. That claims
Let me come to
he does
Griselda for a moment.
investigation.
Griselda, is there an agenda by news agencies to sort of perpetuate propaganda? Any news agency, it could be a white monopoly capital owned, state-owned, privately owned. Is there an agenda that the public needs to be aware of?
I cannot speak for different organizations, but for the one that I work for, where we strive always to tell stories as they are, and also to tell it as you see it, right? I don't think in particular, yes, there are accusations. You'd find accusations from different places about, I guess, the organization which I work for and all of that. But I know very well, together with my colleagues and I, is that we are credible journalists who do our jobs, and there's absolutely no agenda. If you look on our part, for example, I can speak not on behalf of the SABC, but speak on behalf of myself. I'm not the spokesperson for the SABC. But that agenda of which Andile is speaking about, I'd really want to know, why is it that whenever you expose corruption, you're an agent of some sort? South Africa is in a crisis at the moment, right? We're in a crisis, everybody acknowledges that, and anyone, whether they're black or white, or the face of corruption is not just black. All right, it is white also. And you do see the issue of Net one that's also being brought forward. The poorest of the poor indeed were fleeced. and that was exposed. But the problem is when you start labeling people, I'm sorry about your Twitter account, but you know, Mr. Mutaba, when you troll and you go after individuals and start insulting them on public platforms, that gets retweeted, and your followers go to people's houses and whatever it is.
Firstly, it's a complete lie to say any media house has no agenda. All of them have an agenda. The important thing is for you to understand what is the agenda. So, for instance, Daily Maverick is very clear, it's a white agenda. The SABC, quite frankly, is confused. Then you go to Johan Rupert-owned ANCA, they have a white agenda. So, we, Black Opinion, Black First, we have a black agenda. We don't lie like them. We don't say, oh, we don't have an agenda. We just know.
What is your agenda?
Our agenda is to make sure that black come first, is to make sure that blacks are not projected as corrupt. We have made an analysis of Amabungani, for instance. In the 95% of the stories they claim to investigate, all of them about black corruption. So this is the problem. We are saying as BLF, let us have fair reporting. They say we went to a house of a journalist. Black journalists get beaten up in this country. The so-called SANEF. There's nothing about that. But if it's a white journalist, then they run and defend. So
we're going to come to that, to the tax of journalists. But let's bring it to the floor. Is there any question or comment? What do you think about the media agencies in South Africa? Do you think there's an agenda that's been pushed by different media agencies? Please first.
Igama unoluntu. Mina bengicela ukubuza umbuzo ku sisi uba usisi Criselda uba mangaba bepublisha istory, why istory esikhuluma into ebad ngomuntu oyi1 sithengwa kakhulu, ngaba benza imali eninzi ngokukhuluma mangaba istory sithetha into embi ngomuntu benza imali kakhulu ngaleyo ndlela?
Okay, akho mali esiyenzayo sisi, thina siyintatheli akho mali endiyenzayo mina sisi. It doesn't matter what story it is, right? If there's a story that you think is in the public interest, we as the media are going to jump onto it, right? Kodwa-ke ngivumelana nawe mawuthi everything needs to be verified. Yebo, intatheli do make mistakes, but Mr. Mutama should be given, if you did not give him space to give his side of the story, he should be given a space for him to give his side of the story. If we have made a mistake, then that person deserves a right of reply in the same news bulletin, primetime news bulletin, which that alleged error was made. Akuna mali esiyenzayo sisi thina senza umsebenzi wethu. Kodwa into sibonayo nje ukuthi mawenza umsebenzi wakho no-expose ezinye izinto. Ngeke kube kungabikho abantu abazokujaha ukuthi wena so manje solandelela abantu abathize.
If I may just add to that quickly, I fail to believe this story that you mentioned about the Daily Maverick. But anyway, you have been given an enormous amount of airtime. I don't know why the media takes you so seriously, but for some reason, you are on every second panel show that I happen to watch on the media. ENCA gives you... What? ENCA gives you a platform, despite you trashing them, despite you trashing any serious, credible media organization as agents of white monopoly capital.
I'm talking about your publication.
It's not my publication. I don't work for them.
You
Get your facts straight.
I'm saying to them, to you, not in one occasion, in more than 4 occasions, if not 5, they've written about me. I have written a response. Ask them to publish. They will not publish. So this is, and you call it a fair media practice. It isn't. You have an agenda, my brother. The Daily Maverick is a white agenda. We have a black agenda. That is why we can't meet.
Okay, guys, let me just go to the lady over there. I want to find out whether CC, after listening to the conversation now, do you think agencies is an agenda? Or right affair,
Yes, I do.
Please?
My name is Lona from NPO Rice Kagiso. Now, personally, I think that fake news is perpetuated by affiliation of political parties. For example, myself, if I want to know more about Andile and what he did today, I'll go to ENCA. If I want to know more about maybe Zuma, I'll go to ENCA. And if I want to know more about the Guptas, whatever. So different media houses report differently on different issues because they are affiliated. We know that ANN7 is affiliated with the Guptas and whatever. So they will automatically defend Zuma and Andile probably. And ENCA will maybe be against Zuma.
Okay.
But now we are relying on SABC as a house that a public broadcaster to be able to give us news on a daily basis that affects. But SABC is in the middle. It's like they don't know where they're standing. At least we know with AN7. I have my remote control. When I want to listen to news, I'll have to change channels to say today I know that Malema dictate. Probably I know AN7 will report.
Okay.
So
Thank you so
and
much.
the power of the brown envelope also when it comes to journalists.
Speaking
is also there.
Speaking about that brown envelope, so we'll more about that. Masibuya siqale siyothengisa and sifonele as well on 011-339-1315. Sabukele iDaily Thetha. Welcome back to iDaily Thetha. Sikhuluma about fake news namhlanje nanokuthi sesiphile emhlabeni ama-social network. Iy'tori zonke pop up nje and then we click and then the next thing we share. Nanokuthi ama-consequences into enjengalawo abanjani ke. Let's find out from the floor. Let me go to you, Sonia Mtaung. Ngifuna ukwazi kuwena ukuthi let's say now there was a fake story about me and the damage has been done. How much PR can I have or do to clean igama lami?
That's a very difficult one to answer, because sometimes after people have read, they actually start believing it. I'll make an example. There was a story about Mduma Silela shooting at the wife.
Pointing a gun at
whatever. Then I met the wife. She said, Sonia, nothing like that ever happened. What I know Mdu personally, but in this day where there's so much abuse going around, even if you hear something, you're like, okay, I don't believe it, but I'm not the one to say it. You understand? Knowing the person personally. So I met the wife. The wife told me that nothing like that ever happened. And now there's a problem even with the public. Wherever they see him do, they say he's a woman basher and whatever. When they see Sarah, they said Sarah is protecting the husband. Until they gave out their story that nothing like that ever happened. You know what is worse is when the police, the story is written, it's out there for the public. The police said nothing like that. Even the police who was said to have commented said it was a lie. You understand? Now, how does a journalist write a full story about people and then everything? The police said nothing like that happened. No case like that ever reported. He's never been in jail. Now, how do you get the whole story with people's names? Already they are tainted. You understand? What do you do? How much PR can I do for them to make them clean their name? You understand?
And change perceptions.
Yeah, because already Mdu is a woman bash.
Yeah, it's hard these days because it's Bonama stories, this is a spread, but the sources. There's no comment from the low moon to no comment from outside, but it's all about the sources.
Oh, they are there. The sources are there, but they did not conduct the interviews. They write your name, they write where you came from. As Sonia mentioned, then they come out saying, I did not participate in this interview.
But also, you must also remember, if I can't find you, let's say it's a story that maybe I've been sitting on for 2 weeks. I've been trying to get hold of you, and you're not there. You know what? Maybe I will write the story. After you see the story, maybe you'll come out and respond. Because sometimes, even if you leave endless messages to people, they never respond. So now, can I not take out the story just because you don't want to respond?
Very good question. All righty then. Well, let's bring it back to the couch. And we're joined by, of course, Dashni Subramani from the Huffington Post. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, I wanted to get your opinion and your commentary on, Bell Pottinger. This is an international firm that handled the case with the Guptas in South Africa. There was a lot of, opinions being said about them spreading white monopoly capital and campaigns within, the country. How do you think they handled that particular story and incident as a PR company?
I think, firstly, it's very important that we understand who Bell Pottinger is. And they have been working for years. Reputation management, that's what they do. And basically they do, I don't know if you've seen, but The Guardian wrote a story back in 2013 about the kind of stories that if you want a war start, the headline was very dramatic, but if you want a war started, they would create the space in which it can happen. And it's about how they perpetuate or help along fake news to create ideas that will then make people believe that this is correct. So what they actually do, they are paid, they're a PR firm, but not just a PR firm is paid to take care of people. They're paid to intentionally make bad people look good. And this is not just the first example, there's many examples of them doing this. And that is the difference between them and any other PR firm. What they said to us was that, one half of the company then realized that the whole Gupta thing was not good enough for them, and so they decided to pull away. They weren't aware of what was going on. Personally, I don't believe that, because if you have been written about for years, you know that this is what you do. How can you now say that this goes against your values? What are those values then, if you've been doing it all along?
Anita, what is your comment on this?
You know, Bell Pottinger. I was going to say, African Post is also owned by Naspers. It's important to know who owns what. Where she works is owned by the same Naspers, the apartheid media house, who also owns of City Press and so on, Media 24. Now, here's the thing about Bell Pottinger. It has been used now to say white monopoly capital does not exist because somehow it has used that to try to defend the Guptas. That is the narrative of the media. But the truth of the matter, if white monopoly capital exists, whether the Bell Pottinger said it for its own agendas or not, the truth of the matter is South Africa today, the problem for black people to get into the economy is white monopoly capital. What do we mean by this? It's simple. White companies have monopolized our economy. They own the banks, they own the insurance companies, they own the mines, they own the land. You know, in South Africa, only 35,000 white people own 80% of the land. And we're 50. No, see, this is the thing. I know, I've written about this. There's proof. Go look at even Africa Check. They can't disprove this, you see.
No, they can't prove it.
They are disproving this simple fact. Look. In South Africa, 35,000 white families own 80% of the land. In 1913, the white people had a land act that said they, as white people, will own 87% of the land. I mean, you don't have to be smart about this. So if since 1994, only 8% of the land has been returned. Here's the thing about Bell Pottinger. It worked for 18 years for Johan Rupert. Our people need to know that name. Johan Rupert is one of the white monopoly capital families in this country. Now, you know, when people go on and attack Bell Pottinger or attack the Guptas, they never said, but the Guptas, the reason why white media is angry with Bell Pottinger is because the Guptas poached Bell Pottinger from Johan Rupert. The question is, what were they doing for Johan Rupert?
I think one of Bell Pottinger's greatest crimes here is precisely is that it ended up shutting down a conversation that we needed to have. And I almost lean towards sort of agreeing with you on something. Is that, you know, this term white monopoly capital became so bastardized by Bell Pottinger and so tainted. But we need to be having serious conversations about the structure of this economy. And precisely because it was turned into this slogan for a tainted political faction, it has now become a slogan that we don't even want to talk about, right? And as any good propagandist will know, as Andile will know, and the lady in the audience actually alluded to a very important point, which is that, you know, the essence of propaganda is to have a message that resonates, right? And good propaganda has always a kernel of truth. So in a country like South Africa, where we have such disgusting inequality and injustice, the whole narrative of white monopoly capital, which became so simplified, so crude under Bell Pottinger, it resonated because people want to hear that, right? Okay. And that's the big crime of Bell Pottinger is it shut down that dialogue.
Right now.
Because sesikhuluma kakhulu sodwa and sesishiya abantu ngaphandle ekhaya. Give us a call. Let's find out about thina abantu. Let's go to KZN. Philani. Hello Philani. Sikhona njani bot?
Yeah, ngiyaphila nami.
Sikhona. Asiza umbono wakho ke fast baba.
Wona nje mfowethu ngifuna ukukhuluma kakhulukazi ngalo issue yama fake stories yabo. Angeke ngize ngidikile kakhulu nalokho yabo waba-hijack nanani media. But ngifuna nje ukukhuluma nje lokho okurelevant, especially ukupostwa ngawo kuma social network. Ko Facebook, Twitter nani yabo lezo zinto lezo. Now, mina ngizokhuluma ngithi lesona ngakhona ukuthi nale issue le umunyo kwengane statistics nani yabo lonto le. Yes, so kwenzekile yabo. I mean, ngisebenzile kakhulu la kwi-community. I'm a teacher, by the way, science teacher, mathematics teacher, and yabo defana nale. So, I have put good things in like food after school yabo. Nobody had posted on Facebook or Twitter about lezo zinto and akekho futhi ngisho atopostile obenganginaka kakhulu yabo. Mhlawumbe uthola ama-shares uthole ukuthi kulakho abantu aba-more than 8,000 mhlawumbe kube nama-shares a-8,000. But it took one picture nje post on Facebook kuthiwa nangu naye uhlangene nama-Nigerians njengoba kuntshontsha abantu besifazane and like.
Okay, Pilani, we're going to come back to you. Pilani, we're going to come back to you. Let's just go to an ad break. And when we come back, we're actually going to find out more about Andile Mqethama and also these allegations about journalists being attacked in South Africa. We also find out on the couch, is that the way to charge those who are accused of selling fake news? We'll be right back. We're almost at the end of our program, but not before, of course, we get some parting shots from the guest. But I'm sure you've heard in the media the attacks against journalists by BLF members. Attacking them. There was a lot of hoo-ha. And how do you think we should deal with the issue of the fake news? Do you think they should be charged? But it seems BLF thinks no, we need to go to them, especially white journalists, as they term them.
And then something that Andile I'm a journalist, especially a black journalist, at the attack but only now that few white journalists are attacking, now it's becoming front page stories. I don't know what you think about that.
No, we are clear. We defend the freedom of expression and media freedom, but that does not extend to two things: to covering up white corruption and to promoting racism. You know, we went to just one journalist house and we protested there. And others came and there was, I wasn't there, but I'm told that, other heated exchanges happened. The interesting thing for us as BLF was that when we went to Peter Bruce's house, who has written very racist material. You know, Peter Bruce says about the black ministers, they are stupid, they are idiots, they can't think, they are children. None of the people that are objecting are raising that issue. Secondly, we raise the issue of how white media, under the pretext of practicing journalism, is actually hiding white corruption. All we are saying is, let us have a fair reporting. And we as BLF will not accept any racist reporting. Anyone who writes racist material against us, they can be assured we shall exercise our right to protest. This country has seen racism for far too long.
But what are you guys protesting?
It was actually a very peaceful protest. Let me just say, outside, yes, until he came and he started pushing people and some of the people arrived there. That's why the police were there, by the way. And it's shocking. They say that people were beaten up. They didn't open a case with the police. In fact, they ran to court because they have the money to do so. But BLF, now a lot of people say we are wrong. But you will thank us another time because we have shown if black journalists are under attack, no one speaks. And I'm not talking about, they've been beaten. Black journalists have been beaten. SANEF, that says it represents the interests of journalists, did not go to court, did not do anything because those are black journalists. But if it's a white journalist, they run. Secondly, the issue of going to protest at houses of people. People were protesting at the houses of the Guptas, and they were protesting even where the Guptas pray. It was not a problem. But when we went to Peter Bruce's house, it's a problem. You might not like the Guptas, but if it is wrong to do it at Peter Bruce's house, certainly it is wrong to do it at the Guptas. And now court said must not do it, and nobody will do it.
All right, and I just want to say that we did invite SANEF, of course, to come to Daily Thetha so that they can also have a right of comment, and they couldn't make it, unfortunately. But as a journalist, Jashni, what's your stance?
I think we need to backtrack a little bit here. The issues that Andile is raising are not new issues. These have been underlying issues within the media, within corporate spaces. It is a real thing where certain people, based on their race, get treated better than other people do. That is a fact. It happens. It happens all the time. But the problem that we're getting now is that those very real issues, land, racism, black people, poverty, absolute abject poverty, is being used as a tool to fight other agendas. As Andile himself said, everyone has an agenda. This is something they teach you in journalism school. Everybody, if anyone comes to you with a story, everyone has an agenda. And I think that we need to remember that these are not just stories about these fights, these breakouts that happen. It's not just about a black person fighting against a white person. It's about, firstly, the fact that there are real struggles that happen and that the government has allowed them to continue. And secondly, that people are using real struggles to push their own agenda when it's necessary. And that's not okay, and it will be called out at both times and should be.
All right, let me come to you, Sonia Mutawu. You, of course, a PR agent. And about, something that I think it's the conclusion or the end product of fake versus real news, which is perception. At the end of the day, perceptions are being pushed, and sometimes it's difficult for Motoro once they've made up their mind about something, whether it's real or not. How do we get to a point whereby those perceptions are challenged so that people do actually resonate with more credible news as opposed to the fake news?
But then again, you have to look at it this way. Ne? Already, the Guptas, I'm going to make this because everybody now is talking about the Guptas and stuff. The majority already believes everything bad about the Guptas. Whatever is it, even if it's right or what, nobody will ever change the perception that they have on them. You understand? Even if they contributed, I don't know how much, to the economy or whatever, it will never be seen. Because to them, they are the ones who are bringing the country to its knees. Yeah? Fine. And also, white monopoly capital, they'll talk about it. Ne? Okay, the Guptas might have come years later, but the money is already gone. You understand? It was already out of our hands. You understand? So now we have to bring all those things together and see, even as, how do we deal with this? I don't like politics because now, even as a person, I know my political party. But everybody, even my political party, has got its own agenda. Even the others have got their own agenda. So now, how do we come together and say the economy is here? How do we as black people also come to the whole thing? Because even the media, that's what I'm saying. As I used to work as a journalist. Even now I'm no longer a journalist, but I still listen. And those things, whatever is it that we put on social media, I promise you, it's right, and then everybody believes.
It goes viral. And sometimes we even trust like personal stories and as if it's fact. And I don't know, because it's just a journalist just wrote it, and the next thing it becomes a fact. And people start to believe that.
The journalism is very powerful. Our people believe everything that comes from a journalism. And the truth of the matter is, journalism today in South Africa has an agenda, and it uses propaganda and uses fake news. What we should be doing in a country, I think, and a lot of the young people ababosho abantu abapusha ama fake news, I think baqinisile nathi siyabasupport. Inkinga esinayo in South Africa manje ukuthi amaphepha ayikho indlela yokuthi uma bekubhaleka ngawe you can hold them accountable. Khona lokubiza ukuthi ama press ombudsman. Abantu abazi nalokho, I press ombudsman is what the media house hires people, pays them, and call them press ombudsman. So we know, yes, exactly. Even SANEF is paid by the industry. We don't have in South Africa a mechanism to hold the media accountable. I think now we want a media tribunal where we can hold the media accountable.
Let me just go to Griselda before I come to you, Sonia. Griselda, I want your commentary, especially as a journalist, that some journalists have been accused of brown envelopes, some journalists have been accused of being friends with politics, and that then influences how they report and the credibility of their reports. Your view on that? Briefly, please.
Look, certainly, again, I cannot speak for everybody else, I can speak for myself, but I guess there have been serious allegations made about some journalists receiving...
All right, it seems like your mic is off. Unfortunately, your microphone is off. Sonia, you wanted to comment?
Yes, okay. It's just that, okay. I'm thinking that when it comes to journalists, accountability should be there. You cannot write about a person and not expect the person to take... Most important is that even if you want to sue, most times you don't have money to actually go that route. You understand? The only thing that you can all do is to ask for an apology.
Okay. That's all we can do. 10 seconds. Griselda?
Accountability.
Right.
If there's a journalist who has done wrong, the publication or the broadcast house should take full responsibility for that because it tarnishes the rest of us. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for watching Daily Tet. Unfortunately, that's all the time we had with you, but we'll see you again tomorrow. It's Mandela Day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Sarah.